In this research, we examined the nature and the role of subnational development banks in the context of sustainable financing. Our interest comes from the fact that, despite being active players within development networks, representing 15% of mapped development banks around the world, this group of institutions have been taken for granted both in academic and public policy debates. This fact has undermined the capacity of scholars and public officials to fully explore SDBs' potential to contribute to sustainable development goals. So, we started by highlighting the main features of SDBs, identifying their nature and their geographical distribution. Then, we conducted a comparative study among countries that stand out for the number of subnational institutions in their development systems, Brazil and Vietnam. We then present concrete examples of SDBs working to connect local needs to the 2030 Agenda. Our research has identified that the establishment of SDBs is a relatively recent phenomenon. 56% of them were founded after 2000, both in developing and developed countries. The comparative analysis between the Brazilian and Vietnamese experiences showed how a country's development system may present different aspects depending on its historical and economic contexts. However, these different formats do not prevent them from operating towards similar development goals. More specifically, we have identified concrete examples of how subnational institutions have channeled international resources to local sustainable investments, and they can do it thanks to adequate procedures to access green financing on one hand and their ability to better identify local demands on the other one. The example of BDMG recent published framework on sustainable bonds is clear in that direction. Given its results, we expect that this research can demonstrate that SDBs may have a meaningful contribution in the global effort to make finance work for the necessary transition to a more sustainable development pattern. Therefore, they should be empowered and better integrated to the global development community. We strongly believe that the lessons learned by the discussed cases may create incentives to local governments to consider SDBs as an effective tool to overcome development challenges.